and welcome back to another episode of A Year Gardening. I've been doing a little bit of retrospective thinking and looking back, because I think that looking at where you've come from to where you are now helps you to plan in order to go forward. So roughly where this camera is taking this shot from now is where I did a little bit to camera in the third ever episode of A Year Gardening. And as you can see from this particular shot, it's changed considerably. So behind me now, I've got the lovely woodland border building up with the rowan trees and the buddleias coming through, the rhododendron and all of the associated shrubs through the woodland border, whereas before it was just open grass. And the mound border with the amelanchier tree and the red robin and the cotoneasters all coming through and looking beautiful were just plain grass. But it was in that third episode where I planted the very first of the shrubs there, which was the amelanchier tree. So we can see how it's progressed and where we are now. And that's given me some thoughts about progression going forward. Generally, all of the borders are completed now, and they just need tidying and maintaining, with the exception of what used to be our memory garden, which we moved everything out of the memory garden and put down into the new peace garden. And I've been thinking about what to do with that area. I now have decided what I'm going to do and how I'm going to use that area for the benefit of the rest of the garden. And I'll show you that later on in today's show. Also, I'm going to be doing my strawberry runners, which I did mention in the last show, but I didn't get round to. But I'm going to be doing those and putting those into pots ready to bring on the plants for next year. Still got one more year left of the main plants, but I can bring on the runners to start growing, and they'll go into another area of the garden. So lots of things that I've got planned to go through with you today. So without any further ado, welcome to mid-August in A Year Gardening. Well, we've taken a trip back down to the Clarence pub at Hastings, and they've replaced the frames against the wall with some nice hanging baskets and built some lovely new raised beds, which are absolutely brimming with colour, and there's a couple of rather nice cordylines in there. Also, they've added the long-awaited water feature, which is just a lovely nod to the memory of Bill, who used to look after the garden. So well worth popping in if you're in Hastings. Well, strawberry time. So I've got myself a pot mixed up with some garden soil and some compost. And all we do is we pull out these runners. And look at that. We've got a lovely bit of root on here and on here. So we get two plants. So we can just put those into the pot. These are going to be next year's plants, because these ones that are in the ground now, they have been here for 3 years now, and they're coming to the end of their life. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that over the side here, cover the soil over there, and then I'm going to peg that into the ground, just so that it's not going to get blown out. And then we're going to be quite good for another couple of plants there. I've got 20 or 30 of these to get through. Tidy these all up, because I want to get the grass cut up here, but I can't do that while the strawberries are growing out over the top. So we'll get these strawberries cleared back, and then we can cut the grass. That's not a bad thing to do. Now I want to show you the area behind me. You may remember the memory garden. It's a bit of a mess at the moment, but we took out so much from here and moved it down to our new peace garden. And I've done nothing with this. It's now dandelions, old man's beard, a lot of weird and wonderful weeds or wildflowers, whichever you prefer to call them, growing in here. The bees and everything else have had great fun going through here, but now I want to tidy this up and put it into a new area of the garden. So I'm going to have a small fire pit in here, and I'm going to have some ornaments over the back. Now Julie's been given some rather nice ornaments, but they've faded and worn, and I'll show you those in a moment. And so I'm going to tidy those up, clean them up, repaint them, and we'll have them decorating the back here. Fire pit over the back here, and this is going to be a nice little decorative area of the garden. And something I've been thinking about doing for a while, but haven't got round to it, but we're going to do that. But we're going to leave this sorry, this lovely saxifrage here, and the aubrietia over here, the ivy up the wall, and we're going to leave these lovely crocosmia over the back. But we're going to tidy out all the weeds and make everything look really, really nice. We're also going to be clearing out, I think, a third to a half of these raspberries. They've really grown far too much, but I'll tell you what, if I just take one of these off of here, they're absolutely gorgeous to taste. Wonderful. But too many plants, got to clear that out a little bit. So I'll pot some of these up and give them away to neighbours. Not a problem, but this is going to be my next project. Well, here we have the new ornaments that are going to go into the garden. Look a little bit worse for her at the moment. Julie's given them all names, but we won't worry about that. This first one here, the face was completely smashed, and I've rebuilt that and started to put it all back together. Again, going to be repainted, tidied up, and smooth and ready to go out. The second one here, I'm going to be repainting the roses and then do a full repaint on that. And the little one there on the end is going to have a nice little yellow rubber ring round it. And they're going to look really nice, I think, put into that new section of garden. Well, that brings me to the end of the last of our little short shows this year, and hopefully it gives you an idea of what we're going to be putting into the September show. We're going to be concentrating in that show on the work to what used to be the memory garden, which is going to be our new ornamental area, and I'm going to be doing some summer pruning and various other bits and pieces to bring you on that show, and I'm sure that's going to be good fun. Now we've got quite a few bits and pieces that I've gone through here. I've got to get all those strawberries potted up, the strawberry runners, and start clearing the bed now, and getting the old plants out and losing those. And I'm sure that's going to give me a nice crop for next year. But with the strawberries, we can't put the new ones back into the same bed for risk of disease going into the plants. So I'm going to need to find a new area, but we'll overwinter those plants in the polytunnel, and we'll have them ready to go out next year to give us hopefully a really, really nice crop. Might even grow them in the polytunnel, there's a thought. So I'm going to be also painting up the ornaments, getting those ready to go out into the new garden. I'll show you a little bit of that in the next show as well. So hopefully you've enjoyed what we've been through today, and we're now really nicely into summer. It was a bit of a hard July, but August has been a little bit better so far, and I believe, looking at the long distance weather forecast, we're in for a drier spell, so that's good for our farmers who can actually get the crops sorted out and and lifted, and hopefully they can get that all in. So fingers crossed that's what will happen. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you very much for joining me. I'd like just to leave you with my few words of kindness. Stay safe, be well, be kind to each other, and with a small glass of Rioja, happy gardening.